Hello and welcome back to another video. So here we're going to be looking at fractional and negative indices. So the objective here is to interpret fractional and negative indices. So the first rule we need to be aware of is when we have x to the power of minus 1. So x to the power of minus 1 is always going to be the reciprocal of x. So in other words, it's going to be 1 over x. So if we had, say, 9 to the power of minus 1, that's going to be 1 over 9 because the reciprocal of 9 is 1 over 9. The word reciprocal, by the way, means to kind of flip a number. So it's the number that you have to multiply to that number to get 1. So when we find the reciprocal, we just flip it. So if you imagine 9 by itself is 9 over 1, so flipping 9 over 1, we end up with 1 over 9. If we had, say, 2 over 3 to the minus 1, if we flip that, we get 3 over 2. So that's just a quick recap on the word reciprocal. So the second rule that we need to be aware of is when we have x to the power of 1 over b. So what we're doing here is we're taking the bth root of x. So that sounds a bit strange. So if we had x to the power of 1 over 2, it's going to be the square root of x. If it's x to the power of 1 over 3, that's going to be the cube root of x. If it's x to the power of 4, that's going to be what we call the fourth root of x, and so on and so forth. So here's an example. So firstly, we need to simplify 3 to the power of minus 1. So it's the power of minus 1, so we're going to take the reciprocal of 3. So 3 by itself is 3 over 1. So if we take the reciprocal of that, that's going to become 1 over 3. So the answer to this question is 1 over 3. Here we have 2 over 3 to the minus 1. So again, we're going to take the reciprocal of 2/3. So doing that, we end up with 3 over 2. Here's another example, so we need to simplify 9 to the power of 1/2. So again, because the denominators are 2, we're going to take the square root. So in this case, we're doing the square root of 9 and the square root of 9, so the number that you have to multiply by itself to get 9 is going to be 3. Here's another example. So we're doing 16 to the power of 1 over 4. So we're taking the fourth root of 16. So that doesn't have a special name. It's just the fourth root, not like the square root or the cube root. The fourth root is just the fourth root and the fifth root is the fifth root, etc., etc. So the number that you have to multiply by itself 4 times to get 16, that's going to be 2, because I know that 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. So the fourth root of 16 is 2. Here's another example, so we need to simplify 27 to the power of 1/3. So because it's the 3, we're going to take the cube root of 27, and the number that you have to multiply by itself 3 times to get 27, that's going to be 3. So the answer to this question is 3. Now this time we have 3 to the power of minus 3. So this one is the same as having 3 to the power of minus 1 all to the power of 3, if we kind of break out that index law there. So what we do when we have these questions, because additionally what we could do is we could write this one as 3 to the power of 3 to the power of minus 1, so we can switch around the order of the minus 1 and the 3. So essentially what we do with these questions is we start off by doing 3 cubed. So 3 cubed is 27, and then we deal with the minus sign, and the minus sign takes the reciprocal of 27. So the answer to this question is going to be 1 over 27, because the reciprocal of 27 over 1 is 1 over 27. Okay? This question here, we have 2 to the power of minus 4, so I'm going to start off by doing 2 to the power of 4, which I know is 16, because 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. And then I'm going to take the reciprocal of 16, so 16 over 1 becomes 1 over 16, so the answer to this question is 1 over 16. Here's another example. So this one's kind of combining two things that we've covered already. So we have 16 to the power of minus 1/2. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do 16 to the power of 1/2, which I know because I've covered it earlier, is the same as doing the square root of 16. And the square root of 16 is very nice. The square root of 16 is 4. And then I'm going to take the reciprocal of 4. So the reciprocal of 4, so 4 by itself is 4 over 1. Taking the reciprocal of that, we end up with 1 over 4. This one, we have 25 to the power of 3 over 2. Now, this is a bit strange because we have that 3 as a numerator. We're not used to seeing this. But again, if you think about this, what this is the same as is it's the same as having 25 to the 1 over 2 all cubed. So I'm going to start off by taking the square root of 25, because that's the same, 25 to the 1 over 2 is the square root of 25. So that is 5. And then I'm going to cube my answer. So 5 times 5 times 5, that gives us 125. Here's another example. Now this question looks very scary because we've got a lot going on here. We have a fraction, which we're not used to. We haven't had that in any of the other previous examples. We have the power being -3/4. So how mean is that? So I'm going to break this down. I'm going to do it step by step. So if we deal with the 4 first, I'm going to take the 4th root of 16 over 81. So we're doing the 4th root of 16 over 81. So the number that you have to multiply by itself 4 times to get 16 and 81. So for 16, we know that's 2 because 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. And for 81, that's going to be 3 because 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, that gives us 81. So the 4th root of 16 over 81 is 2/3. So now what we're going to do is we're going to deal with this 3. So what that does is it raises our answer to the power of 3. So we're going to do 2 over 3 to the power of 3. So 2 cubed, that's going to be 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And 3 cubed, that's 3 times 3 times 3, that is 27. So now the final step is to deal with the reciprocal, so the minus sign. So all that does is it flips the answer. So 8 over 27 becomes 27 over 8, and that is the answer to our question. So we have 16 over 81 to the -3 over 4 is equal to 27 over 8. That can actually simplify. We could write that as 14 over 4 or 7 over 2. But for this case, I'm just going to leave it as 28 over 8. So here are some quick fire practice questions on this topic. Pause the video, have a go at these, and I'll reveal the answers in a moment. Okay, well done if you managed to have a go at those. I've just put the answers on the screen. And that's everything for this video. So well done if you managed to follow along, and I'll see you again in another video. Bye!